Sally needs to unmute.
Good afternoon to Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club. We have you from all over the world, and that makes us bigger and better and more excited about the things we can share. I'm Sally Reyes, your acting sergeant at arms, and please take out your phones and turn it to silence. And I would like to have your help in greeting our president, an innovative creator, Toastmaster, general evaluator, intuitive, and guardian angel. Take it away, the invincible Cynthia Stott.
Thank you, Sally. Appreciate that wonderful welcome. And welcome to all our guests and our members. And usually we take a few minutes to have the guests introduce themselves verbally. We're not going to have that chance today, but hopefully you introduce yourself in the chat so we know where you're coming in from and a little bit about you. One guest that we have, well, no, we don't have a special guest speaking today because that's me. I'm your keynote presenter today. So welcome all our guests, Carly Grace and Carla and all of you. I'm just amazed that you're here, and we will have time at the end for you to share your takeaways, what you learned from today, what impacted you, what touched your heart, and a chance to receive virtual chocolates. Yes, they have no calories and no sugar. So we toss you virtual chocolates. Great. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our Toastmaster of the day, Taufik Kader.
Thank you, Madam President Cynthia Stott. You're always energetic and you always bring that change whenever required. So all the very best to all our team in here. Today, we have a lovely team, transformational leadership. The key to successful leadership today is influence and not authority. And who better than our Madam President Cynthia Stott, who has that influential power all the time. I have the privilege to welcome the general evaluator of today, who thinks about differently in always to change his perception about the people and people around. And it's always to influence. He has a true leadership quality. He forgets about being a leader, but he brings that leadership ethics and service, which he feels is just a tyranny. True transformation starts at one's heart. Let me welcome our general evaluator for today, who's a chartered accountant by profession and a DTM, and I don't know how many DTMs he's going to achieve. So please, with a big round of applause, DTM Talab bin Hamid. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, for that introduction. So today I will be playing the General Evaluator role, and I will be doing my favorite thing to do, which is audit. Auditing the meeting, how did it go? What went well and what could be improved. I'll be presenting my ideas at the end of the meeting. Furthermore, I will be hosting some of the role play reports as well. And one of those role players is the grammarian. So I'll invite the grammarian for today to explain your role.
Good morning. And our grammarian, it just evaluates the quality of your speech and hopes that we can help you eliminate ands, ifs, buts, so, and any other unusable word that you drop in to fill, because we want to hear those pauses, those emotional strings to catch our attention. And our special word of the day is change, which is, of course, our behavior, changing our behavior toward creativity. Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sally Reyes.
Carla, you're not audible.
Not audible to me.
Apologies. Yeah. Thank you, grammarian and wordmaster Toastmaster Sally Reyes. And speaking of change, I have given myself a change as well. And I've challenged myself not to use the words excellent, amazing, great, good, very good. Let's see how I fulfill that challenge for myself. So with that, I will hand over the charge back to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Tawfiq.
Thank you, General Evaluator. We always love to have change, don't we? And it started from you. Next, I would like to have the great personality who always ensures that we go on time. And Madam President, when she started, she said, I want to be on time. So the timer plays a very important key role. And when I asked him, what do you think about transformational leadership? He came up with 3. He said, hardest change is one's own self. Second, how do you know your leadership style? And third, transformation is not static. So let me welcome the DTM, Victor, who has been a DTM for some time. And he's going to use his magnificent color cards to let us know the time. DTM, Victor, over to you, sir.
I want to encourage all the persons who are being timed as they speak to pin the timer so you won't miss these lovely timer cards. I'm going to be using these 3 different color cards to help you along, and you will know which one is which one when it's time to know which one is which one. But right now, know that there's going to be red, yellow, and it's going to be green. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, DTM, Victor. You always keep us on time, and so am I. Getting scared to make sure to welcome our keynote speaker, because she has that quality, that ambience, which she inspires and transpires everyone in the club and out of the club as well, with her leadership, with her qualities, inbuilt talent. And we all know her as Miss Wiggles by her past performance, with her phobias that turn into passions. And now she is an international speech coach and global visibility influencer with over 47,000 followers in 140 countries. She happened to be with us in Bahrain and many other places all over the world. She's usually welcome, as she always shares a transformational journey and lessons learned. She brings that change in you. So please bring a big round of applause for DTM Cynthia Stott.
Thank you, Tawfiq. I really appreciate that wonderful welcome and introduction. Awesome. And I want to make sure I see our timer. Oh, we got to keep everything on time. Great. Miss Wiggles. Who is Miss Wiggles? She was me. She was absolutely me. I was what I would technically call a scaredy cat. I was afraid of everything. And I had 6 strong phobias, including public speaking and visibility. And my college classmates in my speech class called me Miss Wiggles because my whole body shook and my lips quivered. You know, that little quiverly thing they do when you're afraid or going to cry. And I could barely get my words out of my mouth. I not only turned red, I turned purple. And one time, I almost passed out. I saw that fade to black that you have on the old television screens where the black circle starts closing in, and I went, breathe, Cynthia, breathe. Thankfully, I didn't pass out. But what I have learned is that I need to speak, and you need to speak. You need to share your message, even with knees knocking, lips quivering, terrified. And maybe especially then, you need to speak. You need to speak. Because your message is not only important for you and your sharing of it, you'll grow through the sharing of it, but you will transform others with the sharing of it. If you have a message that has been laid on your heart, a deep calling, then the fact is that on the other side of the coin, there are people who are calling to you, calling for you and to you. They may not even know that someone like you exists with your unique gifts and talents. And yes, even your wounds, the bad things that have happened to you in your life. And with the sharing of those vulnerably, you can connect with your audience deeply because your people are waiting for you. In fact, they are praying for you. And I believe with all my heart that you are the answer to their prayers. You are the one that can answer them best. God once said to me, Cynthia, I have people waiting for you, and they're praying for you. They're praying to me, and I know that you are the best person that I can send to answer their prayers. Are you willing? Are you willing? I can send someone else because I am merciful, and I will answer their prayers. But you would be the best person for your people. And I said with tears in my eyes, I am willing. I am willing. Show me the way. Show me how to serve those people who are praying for me. And I guarantee you, there are people who are praying for you. They're praying for you because you have the answer to help them move forward. Now, maybe your knees are knocking and you're terrified and you're so afraid. You practiced your speech, but now you forgot all your words. You don't know your next point. What do you do? I have a tip for you. A friend of mine was involved in a scientific study, studying fear. And they slipped her inside a CT scan, you know, that big round machine, and it hums and you have to hold really, really still. She went in there and they took a picture of her brain and they saw what she looked like normally in her brain. Then they proceeded to show her terrifying pictures. I don't know what they show her. I don't want to know what they showed her, but they showed her some terrifying pictures to make her afraid. And they watched her brain change. The chemistry in her brain changed. And then they told her, wiggle your toes, wiggle your toes. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And it changed again. Her brain changed back to its normal state and even better. And the same can happen with you. When you're on stage or sitting with your friend or your loved one and you need to have a difficult conversation and you're nervous and you're anxious, or your boss and you forgot your words, wiggle your toes. Put your mind, practice this with me. Take your mind and let it slip down your feet. Don't look at your feet, but let your mind fall to your feet. Focus on your feet. And then wiggle your toes and breathe. And it will change everything. And that pause that you take while you're breathing and you're focusing on your feet will actually prepare your audience to hear what you have to say. As long as you don't blow your poker face. And so I forgot my words. Oh no, I need to do this. I need to wiggle my toes. I need to don't say that. Instead, just pause and breathe and focus on your feet, wiggle your toes, have a smile on your face, and then you will remember what you needed to say. For me, my turning point came when my sweetheart, my college sweetheart, who I married and was desperately in love with, when I came back from a business trip, he was gone. He had died in his sleep at 38 years old. He had sleep apnea, and I knew it would cause him problems when he got older, but I had no idea that it could be deadly, and especially deadly at 38 years old. At that point, I had my 6 strong phobias. In fact, one of the first things I thought about after he died was, who's going to kill my spiders? I was terrified. And my college roommate actually said, it's okay, Cynthia. I'm going to bring this giant book that Dean gave me. It's called Rainbow's Gravity. And it's like 500 words, pages plus. And I'm going to bring it up and it's going to help you because you can use it to kill your spiders. She was serious. She knew how deathly afraid I was, even of the itty bitty ones, which I now think are cute. And so she helped me kill my spiders, but that didn't take away my fears. I had fear everywhere. And I went to a self-discovery workshop on the day of what would have been our 8th wedding anniversary. And the teacher said, your life is a blank sheet of paper on which you draw. What do you want to draw? Courage. I want courage. I need courage. Dean is gone. He was my anchor. How can I live without courage? And I declared on that day, I am courage. And I went through a lot of difficult training. I laid on the floor with my legs up in the air and my arms up in the air, shaking and screaming like a banshee. I was in so much pain. And I became a primal scream instructor and screamed out so loud that I nearly knocked a 20-year-old man over. 6 feet away from me, he almost knocked over. And when I declared that powerful scream, and I did it 3 times in front of a whole group of people, that one woman that was so terrified of speaking up and being loud, she'd been trained to be a silent generation woman, to never speak loud. And she saw me really transform in front of her eyes, from someone who could barely walk up to the stage because I was physically in pain, to someone very powerful that could dance after I made my screams. And so when it was her turn to come up to stage to scream, she let out a little scream. And when they asked her if she was ready to do it again, she said, yes. And she did 3 times. And finally, she let out a loud scream, a loud scream. And at the end of that day, she walked out of the room with an honest smile from deep in her heart. And I said to God, I've been through really hard training. I've hiked up mountains barefoot in Korea and did my primal screaming off mountaintops. It's very hard. I can't teach other people that hard training. I need something easier. to change their mindset, to help them transform. I need something easier. For me would be nice, but especially for others, no one's going to follow. God eventually showed me lots of techniques and tools in my tool chest for overcoming fear. I became a Reiki master and a theta healing practitioner. And I work with the ancestors and clear the ancestors, because sometimes fear comes from us, but we also inherited it. Maybe we inherited it from our grandparents. Maybe one of your ancestors was burned at the stake or hung for being a witch, like mine. My 8th great grandmother was hung for being a witch in 1692. And that their experiences still affect us today. And I became a medium, intuitive medium, and helped people to connect with their ancestors and their loved ones, to get the juicy messages of wisdom from them that maybe they never were able to hear when they were alive. So I have lots of tools in my tool chest, but the very best one is wiggling your toes. And I also have tools to teach you how to share your message in a way that's authentic and vulnerable. And I have a program called The 4 Elements of a World Champion Speech. And in it, I share with you how to make your message inspirational, because you've got to have an inspirational message to attract your people to you. And vulnerable. Why vulnerable? That really connects you with your people and helps them know they can work with you and trust you. And humorous. Now, I'm not a joke teller. I'm not someone that's a stand-up comedian, but I can play with my audience and I can laugh and giggle and play with them. So you have to find your way. So I teach you how to do humor and then a twist, something unique, different, mind-blowing. I'll use that instead of awesome. So that you can change them, so that you can help them to transform. And the twist, let me tell you quickly what the twist is. One of the world champions who I studied with, he fell flat on his face. And no one had ever done that before. So that was a twist already. But he did something more. He stayed down way too long. He made the audience very uncomfortable. And when he popped up, he said, did I stay down too long? And the whole room roared with laughter, 2,000 people roaring with laughter. And then he said, have you ever stayed down too long? Impact. And he asked it with a question rather than a statement. And he opened their hearts with humor so the impact could land and land beautifully. So I'm here to say, speak, knees knocking, lips quivering, body shaking, speak, because your people are waiting for you. In fact, they are praying for you, and you are the answer to their prayers. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Wonderful. Please give a big round of applause for our Madam President, the keynote speaker, Miss Wiggles. Well, any questions for Miss Wiggles?
You can put them in the chat, and then Taufik is going to read them off for us.
Awesome, says Natasha, speech crafter.
And I'm going to put that link for the 4 elements into the chat for you. Any questions?
That was an amazing speech, says Michelle. Dr. Michelle. Seema Giri says, amazing, Cynthia.
Great. Thank you so much.
Teresa Sherry wants you to repeat the 4 elements.
Ah, yes, the 4 elements. And I just posted the 4 elements free workshop for you. If you can sign up there, you can come to my free workshop and we'll talk a little bit more about them. The first one is inspiration. The second one, vulnerability, so key. And in our workshop, in my class, we have a speech lab class with other speakers, and they get to give you a reflection. And the vulnerability that's shared there is so powerful. The third one is humor, making it funny so you can open their hearts and give them impact. And the fourth one is a twist, something different, unique. And if you can incorporate inspiration and vulnerability and humor into that twist, all the better. That's the 4 elements of World Championship speech.
Salah, he has a question. He says, overcoming fears is one thing. How do you keep the fears at bay since they like to haunt?
Yes. Well, I used cognitive behavioral therapy for over 20 years and it didn't work for me. They always kept coming back and haunting me. I couldn't even open a dictionary without being afraid that I would see a spider picture. And now, yes, a picture of a spider. And my college roommates really terrified me with fake spiders. But now I think the little ones are cute. It's gone, gone, gone. And that's because we release the emotional charge from whatever caused the fear. Even if you don't know what caused the fear, we release the emotional charge on a history level, on a DNA level. And then that is gone. It's absolutely gone. In fact, my client, we did one session and she was terrified of swimming. And she had no fear. She wanted to swim. She did swim with the dolphins in the open ocean and absolutely had no fear. It's wiped away. It's gone.
There's another question. What are some of the other tools you use to help people with fear?
Well, that's one of them. That's the major one. And then also, so fear and love are opposite, right? Just like light and dark. How do you take the darkness out of a room? You don't. You turn on the light and you flood it with light. And I have a program called the Quantum Light Matrix, and it's a metaphysical light that I flood you with and that you can listen to every day so that you can fill yourself up with your muchness, like Alice in Wonderland needed her muchness in order to fight the Jabberwocky, the inner demon that she had. We fill you up with your muchness and send you out. And you also get a protection ritual that protects you from negative energy and turns all energy into unconditional love, light, and power.
This will be the last question. Did you always listen to God's voice in you, or was there something that made you realize that you had to listen?
I always was connected. I had some connection, but I couldn't understand and I couldn't hear even. Those messages would go by so quickly. I knew there was a message, but I didn't catch it. And I went through the process for several years, deepening my connection so I could hear more. And the Quantum Light Matrix is my best tool to help with that. It clears all that stuff that's in the way between our ordinary self and our soul so that we can hear those messages clearly and follow and have the courage to follow.
Thank you, DTM Cynthia Stott, Madam President. It was a wonderful session and lovely questions, lovely inspiring story from lots of comments and guests that we have. You are so strong, your story is so moving, you're so inspiring. It's a great talk. You have a good storytelling and a great message. So loved it. And you can go over the chat session. I think timer is all set for giving us a breakout room with DTM Linda helping us out in the breakout room, and we shall go for 5 minutes break.
Great. Thank you so much.